Good morning everyone, how are you all doing? I'm Mysticle and today I'm going to be bringing you the latest in AR and VR news. Today we have a little bit of a different video. It's going to be more obscure pieces of information that I have found around the internet for you. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. This is not one that I expected, but Twitter honestly seems to be quite happy with it, as Mark Zuckerberg posted a video of himself sitting on his couch to Instagram being recorded by Quest 3 pass-through shooting flames at Apple. He begins by saying that he thought that the Quest 3 would be the better value headset for most people, but now he thinks that the Quest 3 is just a better headset, period. He goes on to compare features between the Quest and Apple's Vision Pro, and he does acknowledge that the Vision Pro's displays are higher resolution. But when he compares them being able to open up multiple windows in a 3D space, I don't necessarily think that's a very fair comparison, because yes, the Quest can do it, and it is nice for productivity. However, you can't exactly place them absolutely anywhere where you would want to. Mark, if you're for whatever reason watching this, please make that happen. I want to be able to place windows around my space, come back and see them still be there. That would be amazing. However, he thinks that for most people, the Quest is going to be the better choice. And I haven't tried the Vision Pro, so I don't really get a say here because I know the internet will flame me if I say absolutely anything incorrect. However, I do think that these two products are actually for completely different markets. Do tell me if I'm wrong down in the comment section below, but I do think that someone that is looking to buy the Quest 3 may not necessarily want to buy a $3.5 thousand headset instead. That, and I think that a lot of people buying the Quest 3 are buying it for VR gaming. And as we know, the Vision Pro isn't necessarily made for VR gaming. Yes, people are now streaming wireless Steam VR to it, but this is all done unofficially, and you need even more additional hardware to do it. And I feel like a lot of people that buy VR for gaming want it to just work. Again, do correct me if I'm wrong down below. You know, it's obvious that he's going to be more biased towards his own device. I mean, it makes perfect sense. One very interesting thing to note that I forgot to mention in the other camera angle is towards the very end, Mark did say he thinks the open system will win when it comes to virtual reality. He thinks that Microsoft won when it comes to the open system in the PC space, and Apple won when it comes to the closed system inside the phone market. I don't know how much I agree with that because a lot of people have iPhones, but a lot of people have Androids. However, I do find it interesting that he called the Quest system an open system. To be fair, if you compare it to Apple's system and you look at sideloading, yes, it is quite a bit more open. However, it is definitely still not as open as I would call the Android phone market, where we can unlock the bootloader, we can root, we can install custom ROMs, and we can do whatever we want. But I do think that he was comparing it to Apple, where they don't necessarily even allow sideloading. Yes, you can install unofficial apps, but I believe that's through Xcode or TestFlight, and then you have to re-sign them every 7 days. If I remember correctly from my iPad jailbreaking. And this might mean that they are planning on making it more open. Either way though, that video will be down below in case you want to watch some flames going down. But yeah, let me know what you think. On a completely different topic, you can now appeal bans from Horizon Worlds from Road to VR. Meta announced it's finally giving Horizon Worlds users the ability to file an appeal when suspected of breaking the Social VR's app's code of conduct. The fact that they didn't have an appeal system until now, I find a little bit crazy. I feel like an appeal system where a ban system is in place is pretty common practice. Either way though, it's been nearly 3 years since Meta first released Horizon Worlds in open beta. Now the company has pushed out its V149 update, which includes the ability to file an appeal when restrictions are placed on their profile for suspected code of conduct for virtual experiences violations. Citra VR, the Nintendo 3DS emulator for Quest, now brings a massive performance boost and a new update. So in case you guys are using Citra VR, you can be excited for this new update to bring a pretty big performance boost. Citra VR was released in beta last month, letting you play your favorite handheld Nintendo 3DS games on a massive screen in full 3D there in VR. 0.4.0 has just released, and it just got a lot smoother. So once again, in case you're playing Citra VR, this is going to be a nice one for you, hopefully making your experience even better. Talking about making things better, Arizona Sunshine 2 now has 4K textures on the Quest 3. Arizona Sunshine 2, great game. We actually got to try it out before anyone else. Yeah, big flex right there. Had a ton of fun playing it, especially in the co-op mode. But now in its new Quest 3 patch, Arizona Sunshine got beautiful 4K textures. Released last December, we've known for a while that Arizona Sunshine 2 will receive further enhancements. With patch 1.2 out now on all platforms, the Quest 3 version promises upgrades to zombie visuals, higher quality models and shading, reworked particle effects, and increased render scale compared to the Quest 2. 4K textures were also introduced for body, weapons, and player hands. All of this was announced in a tweet, and I think that quite a few people are going to be excited for this one. A lot of people love Arizona Sunshine 2, and I love seeing graphical improvements in VR titles. As you know, when you're in VR, yeah, the storyline matters, yeah, how you play the game matters, but the visuals, that's the icing on the cake right there. I mean, for others, the visuals might just be the #1 thing that makes or breaks a VR game. So seeing improvements is always nice. Oh, here's something interesting that I actually found on Twitter while I was scrolling it. By Payton Dev. Apple declined our app, so it's being open sourced for those who want it. Spatial Dock is a simple Vision OS app that aims to replicate a traditional dock experience like on iPad OS or Mac OS. In short, it's what the Vision OS home screen should have been. This is going to be controversial. Some people are going to agree, some people are going to disagree. I agree. I actually am not a big fan of how the Vision OS home screen looks. I'm sure it's very practical, and I'm sure it works when you're actually wearing the headset. Again, I haven't used it, so flame me all you want for talking about something I haven't used, but visually, okay, visually, I prefer this. I actually think this looks a lot nicer and is a traditional desktop experience. It's what we're used to. That, and considering how powerful the Vision Pro is, and the fact that it basically has a Mac chip in it, having a desktop experience in it does seem like a pretty nice thing in my head. And if it was fleshed out and done correctly, it could be absolutely beautiful. It is nice of this developer to open source Spatial Dock instead of completely deleting it after Apple declined it. They do think that this could be because of competition and Apple possibly adding a dock in a future version of Vision OS. They could also not want to do that because the Quest has a dock, even though I do find that to be a little bit of a weird reason not to add a dock. I would love to hear your opinions down below. Which version do you prefer? Do you prefer the Vision OS home screen as it is now, or do you prefer this? And no, you don't need to have a Vision Pro to tell me which one you prefer visually. Here's a nice one. Beat Saber, one of my all-time favorite titles, has now topped January PSVR 2 download charts. Sony announced its first PlayStation Store charts for 2024, revealing January's top downloads for PS4, PS5, PSVR, and PSVR 2, while December saw strong debuts from Five Nights at Freddy's, Help Wanted 2, and Among Us VR. It's business as usual once again, with Beat Saber taking #1 across Europe and North America. Instead, Among Us VR came second in North America and third in Europe, while Help Wanted 2 took #2 in North America and #9 in Europe. Otherwise, Pavlov, which has been recently named the most downloaded PSVR 2 game of 2023, came third in Europe, and you can see the full charts displaying above me right now. So just some interesting information for you out there, showing which titles are popular on the PSVR 2. I like seeing things like this from time to time, just like I like seeing the Steam VR hardware survey. Among Us VR was on that list, and Among Us VR just released a new mode, where it turns the lights out in the new limited time mode. Running from February 8th until March 12th, 2024, Lights Out mode marks the latest Among Us VR update. Much like the flat screen Among Us VR game, this includes the engineer's role that lets crewmates use vents. It can also be added to standard matches via custom lobby settings. There's also a fully animated, overscoped hat accessory for $2.99, as you can see going above me right now. Described as the new tug-of-war dynamic game mode, Lights Out sees all crewmates become engineers, where your lighting and vision changes depending on how many tasks engineers complete. However, it also decreases as imposters eliminate engineers or use sabotage. So, in case you do play Among Us VR, you've now got a new mode to play around with your friends in. It's nice to see games getting updated, games getting new features, and hopefully people will be happy. However, who isn't happy is Ubisoft. as Ubisoft is apparently a bit disappointed by Nexus VR sales. Assassin's Creed Nexus did okay, but Ubisoft being a bit disappointed in sales means it's hesitant on further VR investment. This is not the first time we're seeing something like this, where a company releases a VR game. The VR game doesn't necessarily do as well as they hoped it would, and then they're hesitant to release further things. We have seen it happen, not just in VR, but in the tech space before. Speaking in a Q&A session discussing the French publisher's Q3 2024 fiscal year earnings reported by VGC, Ubisoft co-founder and CEO was asked about Quest 3, Apple Vision Pro, and whether Ubisoft plans to develop further VR software. Guillemot, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, highlighted his disappointment with Assassin's Creed Nexus sales, confirming the publisher isn't willing to make big investments until VR grows enough. I do wonder what enough means. Multiple titles have done brilliantly in virtual reality. There are a few takeaways we can glean from this. Firstly, Guillemot's statement confirms that VR funding isn't being increased. He doesn't state that it's actively decreasing investment or cancelling any projects, meaning the upcoming Just Dance VR is likely safe. Initially announced as a Pico exclusive in 2024, last November saw Ubisoft inform Upload VR it's working with a new partner for the rhythm game adaptation. More on that you can find in the link down below. So hopefully any projects that they were working on to date aren't actually being decreased or cancelled. Either way though, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day or night, wherever you are in the world. And if you guys like this one, please do leave a like. If you disliked it, I guess this one works too, but let me know why down below. If you guys are not yet part of our community, check out our Discord and our Reddit down below, where I want to see you posting your spice memes. And as usual, thank you so much to all the amazing Patreons supporting this channel. You guys are incredible. Seriously, much love. Thank you to anyone else supporting our channel in any way, shape, or form as well. And we do also have a Buy Me a Coffee link down below now as well. It's like a one-time thing that you can use in case you want to support the channel. And as usual, if you guys want to be notified of future content coming up on our channel, make sure to smack that subscribe button with your forehead, ding my bell, and see you again in the next video. Peace.
Just here, chilling at, I don't know, what time is it? Like 3-something a.m.?
3:14 a.m.
Whoops. And we chillin', boys. We chillin'.
I am at the Meta headquarters right now.